come what may, I'm headed down the right path. I feel so brave, my head held high and I'm showing class. Dreams ignited, every day I truly give my best. I'm thriving excitedly to be the very best version of myself. I'm so bold and I'm so brilliant. I feel amazing, I feel so resilient. I'm so bold and I'm so brilliant. Feel so amazing, I feel so resilient.
Get to know Daphne Maxwell Reid. She's an incredible actress, photographic artist, designer, and also known as Vivian Banks on NBC's hit show, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. She and I discuss her contributions in the industry, her amazing travels, and the delicious dishes featured in her cookbook. Daphne Maxwell Reid, welcome to the Chundria show. How are you today?
Thank you. Doing very well today. Yeah, getting stuff done, so I'm doing very well.
Yes, you are. Well, let's dive on in and chat today. The world has known you as our beloved Aunt Viv on seasons 4 through 6 of NBC's hit show, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. How was your experience on set on the show's reboot, Bel-Air, in this first season?
The reboot?
Yes.
Your
experience. The reimagining. Okay. How was your experience back on set of a show that you...
It was amazing. It was such a wonderful occasion. My experience with the new Bel-Air, the reimagining of the fish out of water story of the Fresh Prince, was an amazing, amazing week. That cast is so fantastic. Each one of them is a wonderful actor and actress, and I love the way they have time now to develop these characters and show you more than just us standing in the room and making a decision. You get to find out who they are and where they came from. And it's so beautifully written, it's cinematically shot. It's just a joy to be a part of.
I enjoyed watching some of the behind the scenes clips I saw online where the cast was fanning out, seeing you, and that touched my heart so much just to see the interaction. Absolutely beautiful. And then how do you feel about the new generation of fans who will get to know those staple characters from the series?
Well, that's great. The old show is on our 3rd generation. So hopefully this is the 4th and the 5th generation that's going to know about Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv and see where it takes them. And this is a contemporary take on a story. So I'm anxious to see it become iconic as well.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Now, you are no stranger to the creative arts with an incredible body of work in television and film. What inspired your interest in the performing arts prior to the start of your career?
Probably my mother telling me that I've been acting since I was born. That I always wanted to be the center of attention. I think it's the middle child syndrome. But I just enjoyed it. I thought it was a hoot. When I was doing it in junior high and high school, I grew up in New York City, so I was surrounded by cultural arts all the time. And I just thought it was a hoot. I didn't expect to make a career out of it because I could not see examples of Black women who had made a career or a living out of doing that. They just weren't around to be seen. They weren't on television. You get 1 or 2 parts on television, and that was it. So that's not something I aimed toward. But I'm a very curious person. I like to learn new things. And while I was in college, I was modeling in New York and got discovered by a woman named Eileen Ford, who had the big agency in New York. And I was flying back and forth between Chicago, at Northwestern, where I was, and New York, doing these jobs. And I thought, oh, they pay me to do this? Okay, smile. Okay, then I'll go back to school. After that, I graduated and I was married and had a son, but I continued modeling in Chicago and then started doing commercials. And I said, wow, these people are making some good money doing commercials. Maybe I'll continue to do this as best I can. And learned how to do narrations and did lots of narrations. And then this guy named Robert Conrad came to town, and you'll have to look him up. He was the original, I guess, star of the Wild Wild West, the original Wild Wild West, before Will got to redo it. He came to town to Chicago to do a show called The Duke, and he hired me. And that was my first television exposure, but it was so much fun. And I was smart enough to pay attention to what was going on around me. So I knew how to position myself to get the best lighting and where to go, how to move it on a set, how to interact, how to listen to the other characters and react to them. I learned a lot being on set. So about 2 or 3 years later, I moved to California, divorced. And I said, well, let me take my hand at jumping in the big pond of LA. And I called Robert Conrad and I said, I'm in town. He said, oh, good. I have a part for you in my new show called, what was it called? A Man Called Sloan. And it's an hour show, and here's a good person to go sign up with this agent, he'll take you. And that's how I got into show business. I haven't stopped working since.
I love this story so much because it's apparent how tenacious you have always been. I love your roots in New York City. I love your roots here. I'm in Chicago right now. This is my home. So I love your roots in Chicago. But I love how you never stop moving, you know?
No.
You're never idle. You're always going after great opportunities, and those opportunities are continually created. And I just love that. That's inspiring to me as a journalist. So thank you for sharing that story.
Not only going after opportunities, but learning something new. I'm really a person who's curious and wants to know how things are made and how things are done and what I can learn out of this. And I've had some fabulous journeys just trying to learn something.
Absolutely. Now, early on in your career as a model and actress, you were daringly designing your own wardrobe. What sparked this creativity to start creating your own wardrobe? That is amazing.
I have been sewing since I was probably 8 years old. I've had a sewing machine all my life. My mother was a seamstress, and I just took to it and loved it. And I was surrounded by Black women who I consider professionals in the hand arts. They could knit and crochet and embroider and sew, and I learned how to do all those things. And it was such a joy to be able to create something, to take a stick and make something out of it. And I guess I've just been pursuing that kind of adventure all my life. But I've been sewing so much that I made all my clothes for college. I made everything that I wore. The night before a homecoming that I was running for the Queen, they said, you need a white gown. I said, I don't have one, but the fabric store is still open. So I whipped up a white gown that night. I just always have a sewing machine. So designing and wearing my own clothes was because I didn't like what was in the store. They didn't have the colors I liked, and they didn't fit me right. I'll just start from scratch and make it myself.
Wow, I think that's awesome. So when you were on set, did that turn into like, hey, you're making your own wardrobe? Can you make some wardrobe for the other characters?
No.
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 Okay.
I just showed up with a bunch of clothes and they chose what they liked out of it. And it happened to be all the stuff that I had made.
Okay. So it worked out. It worked out really well.
Oh,
I like your style. I
yeah.
love that. So present day, you have your own beautiful clothing line. Tell me about the Daphne style and your amazing custom pieces.
I started making a Chinese silk brocade topper, I call them, for myself, maybe about 15 years ago, because I'm a fabraholic and I fell in love with Chinese silk brocade. So what I did was made these little jackets that I wore. And every time I wore one of them, somebody stopped me in the street and said, "Where'd you get that from?" And I said, "I made it." And they said, "Oh, would you make me one?" And I said, "No." So these are mine. I'm making it for me. So I had lots of them. And my husband has an institute where he trains filmmakers, and they have a fundraising fashion show every year. And he says, "I want you to make some of those toppers for the show and do a line." I said, "But then people will want me to make it for them." And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay." So I put my line on, and out of the dozen coats, I sold 4 of them off the runway. And I said, "Oh, they like these." So I started making them, but in order to not overwhelm myself, I'm not interested in manufacturing. I consider them each art pieces, so I hand make all of them. So now it's a custom business.
Oh, I love that. And I also find it really hilarious that you were adamant about like saying no for so long. Like, where'd you get that? No, I'm not making you one. I'm not making you one. Like you were so, and then finally you go, okay, fine. I will concede today. I will make 4. I'm not making a lot of them. And so it makes it so much more precious to have if it's something that you're hand making. How long does it take you to make one?
About 5 or 6 hours.
Oh, wow.
But don't tell anybody.
Okay. Your secret is safe with me. That is absolutely. And then you're doing linen swing coats, I saw too. Was that a later edition?
That was the second line of coats that I made for the next year's fashion show. And I had been making swing coats and wearing swing coats, 30, 40 years. They're very classic style coat. And they fit so many people because they're not super fitted. And I decided to just be inspired by the rainbow. And I made a whole rainbow array of linen coats that had these incredible linings that were just fantastic. They were whimsical, and I just had a lovely time selecting the linings to go with the colors that I had chosen for the coats. And they went fast. So they're also custom made.
That has to feel good, knowing like something that you created, something you really enjoy wearing, something you enjoy creating, and now someone else is enjoying wearing it as well. I know you take pride in that.
It's lovely to show up at events and I say, "Oh, she's got on my coat, and she's got on my coat, and she's got on my coat." And they're all very proud to be wearing them, which is really warming my heart.
I can imagine. Now you have a beautiful DMR Fresh Prince Doors tote bag right behind you. It's available on your website. It's custom created fabric comprising of doors captured on your international travels. What are some of the destinations that are reflected in these images?
Well, this one that you see here is Cape Verde, Africa. This one is Italy. There's China up there. There's Belgium there. There's Morocco and Cuba and Venice again, and England and France. And there's some more France. I got a lot of them, and they're
all a lot of places.
Oh, yeah.
So was it your international travels that inspired your love of photography, or were you already interested in photography before you started traveling so frequently?
I've been traveling since, probably since high school. I love travel. And that was one of the requirements on my second marriage. He says, "What do you want out of life?" I said, "I want to travel." So, okay.
Done.
And we have traveled. And I have traveled without him. And he has traveled without me. And we've just been all around the world. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful life. I have been taking pictures since I was a little girl as well, because my father was an amateur photographer. And he always took pictures of us. My mother made all our clothes, so we were always doing the Easter parade and going to the park, and we were always dressed to the nines, and my mother was dressed to the nines. And he gave us cameras when we were kids, and I always had a camera. So I go nowhere without a camera and a sewing machine, standard equipment, and now a computer. So I've been taking pictures a long time. And when I would travel, I'd come back and share some of my photos with friends of mine I was working with. And they said, well, why don't you do a gallery show of these pictures? They're beautiful. And I said, you got to be an artist to do that. And they said, girlfriend. So on my 60th birthday, I said, I'm going to take the photos I've accumulated and see if I can make a collection to hang in a gallery. And I did. And I realized that I had been taking pictures of doors all over the world. And so many of my pictures were doors that that's what I decided my collection was going to be.
How many pictures of doors that you have?
Oh, thousands.
How many different doors?
Thousands. I only take one picture of a door. You get one shot. That's it.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm curious, what's the longest flight you've been on?
The longest which?
Flight that you've been on, that you've taken?
Oh, probably going to a little island off of Fiji, because you had to go to California first, then you had to go from California to Australia, then you had to go from Australia to Fiji, and then you had to go from Fiji to this little island. That was a long time.
Many, many hours. And what do you do? What do you do? Sleep? Do you write? Do you watch movies? What do you do for that long of a flight?
I do a little bit of sleeping. I do a little movie watching. I do a lot of music listening. Then I do some more sleeping. You just busy yourself. I walk the plane because I don't like to sit more than 2 or 3 hours at a time. So walk up and down the plane, lay down, look out the window. I just let the time pass. I kind of meditate through it.
I'm inspired to travel internationally, so thank you so much. You're the author of 4 books, including a mini memoir cookbook called Grace and Soul and Mother Wit, filled with photographs, letters, recipes, and beautiful memories. What are a few of your favorite dishes and memories from that book?
In my book, one of my favorites and one of, I guess, my family and friends' favorites is Rosalie's waffles. Rosalie is my mother. And she makes waffles. You have to separate the eggs. They are stupendous. So one of my favorite recipes.
Rosalie's waffles. All right, and that's in the cookbook. So we have to get some of those goodies. That's beautiful. Well, it has been a pleasure chatting with you today. And just before we go, I have a few fun lightning round questions for you. First one, What was your favorite subject in school?
Mechanical drafting.
Mechanical drafting? That's awesome. Why?
I don't know. It just thrilled me to be able to create a 3-dimensional thing on a 2-dimensional plane. I love geometry, and it just all went together.
Love that. I love it, love it, love it. Second one, what is one place in the world you look forward to traveling to? You've been to so many places. What's next on the list?
Well, I'm going back to Venice, which I go every year or two. But I haven't been to Greece yet, and I still am. I'm going to get there.
Yes. I'm excited that there's still places you're eager to go and haven't gone yet. You've traveled so much, so that's exciting.
A few. Yeah.
You left on the globe.
I was supposed to do the west coast of Africa this year, but they canceled the cruise because of COVID. So
okay, awesome.
I didn't get to do that.
That's okay. It's coming, and I can't wait. And then the last question is, what is one single piece of advice for any creative seeking a fulfilling career in entertainment?
Don't let the successes go to your head, and don't let the failures go to your heart. They're only road markers saying, do it a different way.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Daphne Maxwell Reid, it has been a pleasure chatting with you today. Thank you for being my special guest on the Chundria Show. We want to continue to follow your journey, your recipes, and all things Daphne Maxwell Reid. What's the best way to connect with you?
DaphneMaxwellReid.com.
Keep it all in one place, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Hello, friends. It's Chundria Brownlow, host and executive producer of The Chundria Show, and I want to personally thank you for watching today's amazing episode of The Chundria Show, featuring actress, photographer, designer Daphne Maxwell Reid. We know and love her as the star of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air seasons 4 through 6. And I really hope you enjoy getting to know her as much as I did. And I'm still honestly kind of in shock that I met her today and featured her on the show. The Chundria Show is, if you don't know, independently produced. And our small but mighty team has been making major strides in producing and distributing quality content. And we really appreciate every single guest who has been featured on our show. And we are so blessed, you know, even when a celebrity comes on to the show to be a guest. So today was a real pinch me moment. I mean, I created the Chundria Show many years ago, and before I had a team, I did it all solo by myself. And today we featured Daphne Maxwell Reid on the show. So growing up, I faithfully watched The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, so it was a little challenging not to fan out when meeting her today. I was also excited to see her in the reimagining of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. There's a show on Peacock called Bel-Air. As she corrected me, it was a reimagining of the classic show. And so today was great, a really great full circle moment just to see her back on screen in the appearance on the show. And then of course, for her to come on board today and chat with us about it in our interview. So it's just a wow moment. In the interview, she was a true sweetheart, so warm, so friendly, and just really funny. I can't believe all the places that she's traveled to in the world. And I asked her to name one place she plans to travel to someday, and she said Greece. And so I can only imagine the true beauty of Greece. I have a friend of mine who was actually proposed to in Greece, and I remember looking at those beautiful photos. So to actually visit sounds like a dream come true. Daphne also inspires me to travel more myself. I've only ever been to the Bahamas, I think. So I really need to step my game up and get outside of the United States. She also mentioned some critical points today just about enjoying your life, you know, always having a zest for learning and just being tenacious in your own life and career. And I'm just so full and enriched from my interview with her today. So I'm super grateful. And I hope that her words resonate with you today as well and inspire you to go after your dreams and your goals, no matter how big or small they are. You know, maybe you want to finish college. Maybe you want to buy your first home or pay off your credit card debt or, you know, make it big in the entertainment industry. Or maybe you're writing a book you hope to finish someday or release this year. Or maybe you've been planning to take a trip for yourself or carve out some time to visit your loved ones. I mean, it is still a pandemic, right? So right now in this moment, I ask that you take some time to think about what you want and what would make you happy and what do you dream about? What do you dream about? You know, what has been on your heart to complete? And now that you have it in your mind, I empower you to go after it. You know, for me, I'm just beginning my PhD program in higher education. But at the age of 18, I started my undergraduate degree in television production directing. And I studied all facets of media production. And I had some really incredible college professors who were accomplished professionals as well. And I knew at the age of 18 that someday, I would teach TV, film, and media production to the next generation of media professionals. And now today, I'm coming closer and closer to fulfilling that goal. I'm actually taking my first 3 doctoral courses and I'm halfway through my first term, which is so exciting. I mean, it's been fun. It's also been very busy. And it's been a lot of writing since a PhD is essentially a research degree. But it's been my dream to get this doctoral degree since I finished my undergraduate education nearly 20 years ago. Can you believe that? And so that's the message. That's the beautiful message, is that dreams don't have to die or go away. I mean, sometimes the pathway to access our dreams might need some restructuring. So in 2004, I thought for sure I would immediately go on to get my master's and then my doctoral degree. But, life happens. Money for tuition did not. But, here I am in 2022, starting a new journey and coming closer and closer to achieving my goal. So I do have a long way to go before I reach the finish line, but I am prepared for a fun journey. And I know that one day I'll be done. And I will officially be Dr. Chundria Brownlow, because why? The sky is the limit. And with that being said, the Chundria Show is going on a hiatus, so I can focus on my studies and I can get a few more of these terms completed before I come back to produce and host the Chundria Show. And trust me, this has been a hard decision, but definitely worth the sacrifice, because I believe that my future self will thank me for making it. I mean, I believe that, and I believe it for you too, that, life is interesting that way. And although we make plans, they don't always come to life when we want them or the way we want them. But that is why faith in ourselves is so important, because we always have to believe that we can do it. And we don't always have to see it, but if you feel it and I know I'm going to get to this goal, that will manifest itself. So I encourage you to continue to be steadfast in your goals. I encourage you to continue to strive every day to be better than you were yesterday. I encourage you to give yourself grace on days when you don't feel your best, or if you make a mistake, because you are amazing, you are great, and you are incredible. And lastly, I encourage you to encourage others. I mean, we've all experienced something difficult, disappointing, or unfavorable in life. I mean, that's a common ground we share. So encourage someone around you to keep going, to keep striving, and to be kind. I mean, we could all use more kindness in the world, right? So until we meet again, the Chundria Show is on a break. But you can always visit us online at thechundriashow.com to watch episodes, check out full interviews with my awesome guest. And of course, please follow me on social media at The Chundria Show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where I'll still be actively posting. And you can let me know where in the world you're watching The Chundria Show. So in the meantime, you take care, you stay safe, have a wonderful week. I'm Chundria Brownlow, host and executive producer of The Chundria Show. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Come with me, I'm headed down the right path. I feel so brave, my head held high and I'm showing class. Dreams ignited, every day I truly give my best. I'm thriving excitedly to be the very best version of myself. I'm so bold and I'm so